we're not only just sharing homes, we're sharing the lifestyle, we're sharing what it's like to live in a neighborhood, what it looks like. So there's no right or wrong way to do it. Just turn on the camera and go out there and shoot video and be yourself. You can't really be scripted. I think scripting is probably one of the worst things that can be done. Doesn't matter. There's an audience for every single person out there as long as you be consistent and give that value out there. I think it's the opportunity cost for potential versus saying this is how much I'm making at the moment. It's the opportunity that can be converted. We need to just be all about the consumer and their reach outs. I said, let's not worry about who's buying now, who's distant, who's what price, this, that. I said, let's just take care of the person that's in front of us.
Welcome back to the Reside Platform Podcast. I'm really excited because our guest today has 4.1 million views on YouTube, 418,000 views in the last 30 days, January 2024, 51,000 watch hours alone in just January, resulting in 254 buyer reach outs. These are buyers from out of town reaching out to his team in Houston. Is Joe Rodriguez, the owner of the Living in Houston real estate team and the YouTube channel Living in Houston, Texas, the original. This is going to be an awesome conversation. You're going to learn. We're going to do a deep dive into YouTube, Joe's journey, and how you can implement these strategies in your marketplace. Joe, welcome to the Reside Platform Podcast.
Yes, it's a pleasure, Nick.
Yeah, those are pretty sick numbers. In fact, you were really surprised on those numbers when you're looking at them.
I am surprised at it because, as you know, as a team, we're out in the field every day, so I'm not always looking at that. So just kind of reflecting, asking those questions was pretty astonishing, to see that.
Well, there's been a lot of talk in the real estate team world about YouTube because of some of the success people are having, like yourself. And so I do want to dive into that today. But before we do that, kind of give us a background on who you are, how did you come up in real estate, and how did you fall into YouTube as the primary source of lead gen? And then we're going to go into building a team from there. And how do you operate a team? Because, leads are one thing, but another thing is the operational side.
For sure. Yeah, that's a whole different challenge there. And, it's a great challenge as well. So it's a long story. I've been in real estate for basically 18 years now. And I can't say that those have been 18 years of all success. It's, I've been through everything, through the ups and downs, got in 2006. Reason I got into real estate is I was in a Bible study group and most of the people in there were realtors at the time. So I was like, I just got married in 2005 and I'm like, I'll do it. And basically that was the journey into real estate, as we had the 2008, 2009 crash. And so just fast forwarding, I've done a lot of different things to supplement during those times and did everything from open houses to cold calling to wondering where the next business was coming from as a single agent. The common denominator through the whole thing is I never gave up. I've always been consistent, just always had a never give up attitude. And, so coming into YouTube, I was in a group with Joshua Smith, and everybody knows him.
Yes.
So
he's been on the podcast before.
And that's when all the Facebook ads were going and all this different stuff. Well, anyways, Jackson and Jesse were just now coming up through the ranks on that. And they just created their first channel, Living in Oregon. And then they went on there and started sharing it. And it was interesting because Joshua was basically, had a camera on him and so forth. But anyways, long story short, that's how it came about.
So this is what year is this?
That was when they came on the podcast with Joshua was probably in that private group was around 2019.
2019.
2020. Yeah, it was around 2018, 2019, I think 2019.
2019.
Well, fast forward a year in 2020, when right before COVID was pretty much hitting, Jackson and Jesse they were doing a lot of, they just created this new thing called the Living In, and they found a lot of success with it. So they were just sharing it all over the place. And basically Jackson said he was going to move to Houston. And so I reached out immediately and we just connected. at that point, and that's just basically where the journey started. He's like, "Dude, I'm coming to Houston. We're gonna blow this thing up. Let's partner." And that's pretty much where it took off.
Well, so Jackson's your partner, and he
Correct.
actually had YouTube experience in Oregon.
Correct. Correct. That was the basically the launch of what we know today as the Living In
The
concept.
living in Oregon. So what did he do? I'm curious. What did he do with this channel on YouTube in Oregon? Did he just disband that?
No, they were still running that channel. So basically, it was so new. They were just experimenting with everything, and they got to a point where he shot thousands of videos and basically created 13 different channels around the nation. Obviously,
So
is that sustainable?
so what did you learn initially from Jackson at going into Houston and building this out? So you guys decide to partner up. He moves to Houston, or maybe he's remote. What do you do next? What's the first step?
Well, the first step is just really he hits the ground running. Basically, it was just, getting all the videos. So you want to batch shoot videos and, basically, like he talks about, just, get 20 videos out immediately, just don't do one at a
So did you
time.
guys just bang out? So you guys just ripped out 20 videos.
Yeah. So we went out. What we did is we went out to all the major suburbs of Houston. He was like, "Okay, where do we go?" I'm like, "Let's hit up, Sugarland, Missouri City, Katy, Cypress, all the major suburbs, the Woodlands." We hit all those up and basically just hit the ground running. And then
Because he doesn't know Houston at all. So he's looking to you and saying, "Joe, what are the major subdivisions here? What are the
he's got all the analytics, but the main thing is all the major suburbs. So I was like, okay, we're gonna go here, here, here's the town center, here's this, here's that. So I just came in as the expert, and then I just refined my skills as far as speaking, just being around
I love it. I
the
love it.
camera throughout time. And that was in we first our first batch shooting videos was August of 2020.
August of 2020. And August, 4 years later, you're,
4 years later, yeah, we're going through our fourth year now.
you can't, the phone's ringing off the hook. You can't even probably pick up all these phone calls.
We couldn't pick them up, and what was funny was Jackson was like, "You better be ready." He goes, "It's gonna get crazy because their Oregon channel just blew up." And I couldn't really envision it completely yet, and then all of a sudden the phone started ringing, and I had just an Excel spreadsheet at the time.
Because at that point, the phone calls are coming into probably to your personal phone or to some call rail or some Ring Central, and you're answering them all at this point.
Correct,
And
correct.
is that true? You don't have another agent on your team? Is
No, no, I
Jackson
was
solo?
just
Is
solo.
Jackson?
It was just me, the only production guy. I
Yeah.
mean, I basically, I was the TC, I was everything, all hats at that point, taking the
Mhm.
calls, doing the Zoom calls.
You're just supercharging your lead gen
I
for your
was I was
personal.
pulling over on the freeway. I had a legal notepad, writing all the notes down and everything else while showing and, coming back at night and so yeah,
So
pretty much.
so the 20. So is that what you recommend? 20 videos, and then you post them all at once? How do you,
No, no. So the way he does, he slowly releases them. So at first, I believe it was like two videos a week, and then you just build consistency from there. So fast forward to today, what we do for consistency is we found like the higher quality of what we do as far as out in the field, the videos, and we do long form content, and so we just do every single week like clockwork. So it's basically people look forward to it, and we call it a show. So people look at it as a show. Jackson's created a character in me as far as I'm JoJo, the guy JoJo. So it's a very welcoming type way, and we've just really gelled a lot. But we shoot on Mondays and we release every Saturday morning. And everybody has a different release time. You just have to pick one.
so the key is consistency there. So you're doing
Yes.
one video at this point, one video a week.
Yes. One
And
great high quality content.
so you do, is it fair to say you went volume at first? Lots of content, lots of videos, and then
Yeah, because Jackson has this thing that he's always taught about. It's like 20 videos. It's just the way you launch off, a channel is the way you break ground, and that's how he's done it in every city that he's launched in.
well, look, take me inside the video, like the videos and why would somebody call you for because they watch a video? I'm not quite clear on that. And how do they find who to call? How do they know who to call?
So on the videos, what we do is we don't do like a digital mirror or anything like that. We're just basically sharing what it's like. It's basically like if you're moving from out of state and you Google somewhere, you're not going to Google the best restaurants or anything like that, or the best school. There's just a lot of little things. So what you do is you have the most important decision to move your family across the United States. You need to know exactly what the area, what it's like to eat, live, sleep, play, where the parks are, where the recreation is, how far is it to where I need to commute? Do I need to commute? So many factors. And that's where we come in as the professionals and we're on the videos. We're not only just sharing homes, we're sharing the lifestyle. We're sharing what it's like to live in a neighborhood, what it looks like. We're looking at the background. They're looking, some people want tall trees, some people want flat lands, some people want to be by water, lakes. And so we provide all that. And basically it's a call to action is what we do. So you have to reach down, you have to shoot us a text, give us a call. We got your back 24/7, days, nights, weekends. And so that's basically where it's at. And we have found on the analytics that the majority of the people are watching through the TV screen. So I've been on Zoom calls with them. They're pausing their TV while they're eating popcorn and they just reach out.
So they're yeah, because everyone's going on their TV, their smart TV over the television YouTube app that's built into most devices
Yeah.
at this point, or Google Chrome or Amazon, whatever it is, Fire Stick. And so they're literally pausing it and calling you. How are they getting your number? Are you saying it out loud, or do they have to go into the notes at some point, the description?
No, we have different call to actions throughout, and we just say you have to reach out. A lot of times Jackson will be like, okay, pause the screen right now and reach out to us. The only way we can help you is if you reach out.
And
And then the phone number pops up. We have the email. And so right then and there, they have it. So there's a call to action at the beginning.
so everyone you can check out his videos, Living in Houston, Texas, the original.
Yes. And all you got to do is basically there's tons of living in Houston. There's probably over 10
Because there's copycats, right? People are going to try to mimic and catch up.
it's a different ball game,
Yeah.
and in this compared to like some other niches out there. We're just providing real estate, so it's just a common name. It's not the factor that really creates the channel.
Well, in many marketplaces, there's not a Joe Rodriguez that's been doing YouTube videos for 4 years. There's probably nobody. Because the barrier to entry is a camera and a video, but the psychological barrier is everyone's scared to be on camera.
It is.
So did you ever have any apprehension, fear, anxiety to get on the camera? And did you? Was there any
I
hesitation?
did. Being on camera didn't always come natural. I don't think anything comes natural. It's not until we do things over and over again that we get better. So yeah, even my language, at first I did a lot of ums, and then, that can always be edited out. However, with speaking on camera, I learned how to continue to flow with things where it doesn't need to always be editing out those things. And then Jackson's kind of made a comedy, so to say, to really feel comfortable reaching out. And, I'll mess up or I'll stop because we don't script. And that's one of the key factors is, he's always believed that we just flow with our content and we just become real people. And that's what people connect with is being real.
And so on a Monday, take me through your day. What's your day like on a Monday shoot, from start to finish, scripting, execution, and then delivering that content?
Well, doing it over and over again, it may seem easy if I say that, okay, well, this is what we do. However, there's a lot involved in it. So Monday mornings, I wake up, do all the things. I do the team huddle from 8:30 to 9, wrap that up. And then I get prepared and I go pick up Jackson. And then we drive out. So right now, it takes us about 2 hours on average to go record a community and have about a 20 to 45-minute video.
And so you've already pre-planned that community you're going to. And how do you decide what you're going to talk about? Are we talking about parks? Are we talking about schools?
We don't. So we gel so well now. Basically content is created on site.
Mm.
And so what we do, I try to, and I don't like to use the word try, right? So
Hmm.
what we do is I look for communities, and now that we've pretty much sold in every community and suburb around Houston, I just look at some of the places that had a lot of demand, but we have so many new construction communities out here in Houston, Texas, that we just pick one and we go out there. So, like, for example, this past week, we were going out to a new community and it happens, it wasn't complete. I'm like, hey, let's go over here to this master plan community. Last time we didn't shoot these couple of homes. We go out there, we assess it. Jackson looks at it. We get out, we go into the homes, we talk with the sales reps, we get the information sheet. And then basically, as we're just talking in the car and talking about where we're going, Jackson's just building out the story. So every time it just happens, we go into these homes and he's like, okay, I got it. This is what we're going to do it on. And then
And
that's,
so he's kind of like the director.
yes.
He's directing this, and who's holding the camera? Who's shooting the videos? I think people
Jackson.
have these people. There's a reason I'm asking you, Joe. Is people ask these questions, and it holds them back because they don't know how to do it.
So there's no right or wrong way to do it. A lot of people will hire out videographers. They'll pay someone to show up. Even our
Expensive. That's an expensive way to get started, though.
It can be expensive. And Jackson's always just, I guess, from the beginning, he's always just done the videos. Like I said, he's done thousands of videos, just experimenting with it. He started with a GoPro. So that was the whole deal. Everybody was GoPro, GoPro, GoPro. Well, we started slowly up in the game a little bit throughout time and audio and everything else. So
Like
he just,
GoPro could probably still work with just a selfie stick
it
GoPro.
does, but we've evolved, and just really in higher quality content. I mean, you really audio is the most important thing, and then following up with video quality. And we use a gimbal, so basically we have a gimbal, an APS-C camera, and then some DJI wireless mics.
Oh, okay, okay, but so is Jackson on camera then?
He is. So what the way we work it is he's basically right here. He's the camera guy. This is what we use. And he's just following around and talking. And he's kind of the narrator. So for me, I feel like he's the guy that's like the consumer. Like the consumer's walking,
Oh,
oh, wow, what's this? Oh, I didn't think about this. Oh, the drapes here. Oh, the windows here. And I'm like, yeah, Jackson. I said, come on over here and look what this looks like. And look at this amazing sprawling. I said, and
I
then if
love
you walk
that
in the
stuff.
door, you have the sprawling windows on the back, and I'm just start painting and sharing stories. And that's pretty much how it lays out.
So he's being the voice of the viewer, asking the questions,
So he's
being
the voice of the
curious.
viewer.
He's the voice of the viewer. I like that point of view. It's like I like that Gonzo type. Like, here we go. We're going to be exploring this. My daughter. We all watch YouTube videos, but my daughter was watching Brave Wilderness for a while. Coyote Peterson. And Coyote Peterson, I don't know if you've seen Coyote Peterson, but
I have
he's always exploring wilderness and stuff, and he's always super curious and like, oh, check this out. And then the camera people, almost like Mr. Beast mode, are asking him questions. So what's that, Coyote? What's that? You see, and probing questions. So if you were giving advice to someone in another marketplace thinking about doing a YouTube video, what are the maybe top 3 pieces of advice you're going to tell them to do?
one. I mean, the top three things is one, have a commitment and be consistent to doing this and seeing it out. And taking action. I think all three of those fall into one. Second of all, is just turn on the camera and go out there and shoot video and be yourself. I know a lot of people want to have a whole outline of scripting and all this stuff out. I think it's great knowing, hey, I'm going to go to this area, I'm going to talk about these homes or this subdivision and generalization, but you can't really be scripted. I think scripting is probably one of the worst things that can be done. And the beautiful thing about YouTube is that no matter who's in our market, like even here in Houston, there's tons of people doing this. And one of the great things that I love about YouTube that's really changed the landscape of real estate is that people connect with me. They connect with me personally, and they reach out and they want to be in our culture. So if we have 5 other YouTubers out there, they're going to talk to them. And if they don't like me, I'm not going to hear from them. They're going to call the other person, right? So that's
Mhm.
a good thing. Only your fans are calling you, and the people who are critical of you are not going to reach out.
That's so true. I was talking to Reside member, a leader, about recruiting, and they're building an amazing team in their marketplace, and they need more agents, agent attraction, and because they have leads and operations and systems, and now they want really good people. And there's an 800-pound gorilla. There's a team in their marketplace that is huge, right? And so a lot of people are like, well, why would they join me versus them? And that's not what you have to, that's not the game to play, because not everyone is going to connect with that person, right? And so whatever the connection is, so I said to the person, doing videos, right? Coaching, leading, and training that agent, some people are going to connect with you and resonate with you. And some people are going to connect and resonate with someone else. And it's and then it goes back to what Joe just said. I want you guys to pick up on it. Who's going to be the most consistent, right? Who's going to be most consistent? Because you don't know when that 800-pound gorilla is going to kind of get a little comfy, feel like they have enough, maybe miss a Monday video shoot. So stay consistent, number one. Number two, someone else is going to connect with you. And so you're saying the same thing with YouTube, right?
That's exactly what it is. That's why I encourage people, because you can have any personality out there. Some of us are just very, high energy. Some are very just direct, analytical. It doesn't matter. There's an audience for every single person out there, as long as you be consistent and give that value out there.
So obviously, how often I want people to pick up on this. How often do you miss a Monday shoot?
We don't miss a Monday shoot.
Right. So this is like, you have to set boundaries. I'm guessing in order to not miss a Monday shoot, that has to be like blocked out. You got to put a moat around that thing. You got to be able to say no to opportunities and outside pressures. Can you talk about that? I mean, how do you?
Even the challenges too, Nick, is we have rain out here sometimes, and rain poses a challenge, high winds. I mean, he does the drone footage as well for the B-roll on that. What that B-roll means, it just means it's like when I'm talking and then all of a sudden it's going to another scene. If I'm talking about a house here, it's hovering over a house or a neighborhood. But yeah, we got to be consistent. I told Jackson even yesterday, I was like, dude, I said, us going out here, it's a lot to stay committed to do this. I said, but it's kind of like two buddies going to the gym or something like that. You don't miss. You're like, hey, you're coming to the gym, and that's the accountability that we have. And, December is a tough one, or holidays, because, like this Christmas and New Year's fell on a Monday, so that was a challenge. So what we did is we said, let's try to shoot 2 videos. And then he would do like, a talking head type style. And what that means is just basically behind your computer screen, sharing maps and stuff like that.
Everyone pick up on this, because it's like, whatever that is, what is that thing that the single most important thing you must do every single week? Keep the main thing, and stay committed with it. I invest in real estate, like many people that listen to the podcast, and I have a flip going on. And I have a roofer that was supposed to start yesterday, Monday, happened to be Monday, yesterday. I gave him a call. I said, are you starting the roof today? He said, no, it might rain. I said, oh, interesting. So you don't work when it rains. Do you melt? So you melt when it rains. It's like, come on. Now I understand roofing and water damage. Guess what, Joe? It didn't rain. The forecast said rain. It didn't rain. So we worry and have anxiety about like these things, and then we adjust before it actually happens. Like, oh, it's going to be windy today. Maybe we shouldn't shoot. Well, maybe you can figure out a way to shoot when it's windy, right? Or maybe we go inside a house and shoot a video. And so when you make that decision that we're going to do it no matter what, then you can actually problem solve for stuff.
That just happened to us. I mean, we're like, hey, it's heavy rain today. We're like, it's going to clear up for us. We went out and shot. I had a big giant umbrella that's, like I said, it was massive, and we just both got under the umbrella. We were out in the rain, and it finally cleared up enough to do what we needed to do.
And what that does is that separates you from the competition, because if they haven't figured out how to operate under certain conditions, they're going to take a day off. Back to consistency. Who's going to be the most consistent over the longest period of time? Right. I don't necessarily, when it comes to investing, one of my favorite quotes is like, instead of asking what's the highest return, ask what's the highest return I can get over the longest period of time,
Correct.
right? Because it's not like what video is going to get me the most views, most bang for my buck. Well, what video can I shoot over the longest period of time? Because obviously it adds up on the view count. What Once you have the content, Joe, what do you do next? I think it's like one of these things where it's like, okay, now it's in the micro SD card.
Yes.
How the heck do I get it on YouTube? And do you avoid multi-channel here? Where I think a lot of people get confused with like, well, I can cut it up into a million different reels and I can put it on TikTok, all this other stuff. So I want you to talk about first, how do I get it off the SD card and where do I put it? And do you go like, are you worrying about other platforms?
Other platforms, no. Jackson's always been of like, hey, you keep just one channel, doesn't go off into shorts and reels and all this stuff. And I think I wouldn't say that's for every industry. I just think that we have a very unique niche when it comes to our, evergreen YouTube long form content. And so everything is about the algorithm and relevancy and pushing that out. So we don't need to do all kinds of other things. Now, would it be good to pull little excerpts from it for recruiting purposes and sharing that type? Yes. But as far as pulling in an audience, no.
What I like about this, and it actually takes a lot of pressure off of people, is like you're so focused on the main thing and keeping the main thing. Evergreen. Did you guys hear that? Evergreen real estate content. Is that what you said? Evergreen.
That came out.
Evergreen YouTube real estate content of Houston.
Evergreen YouTube real estate content.
Yeah.
And it changes the game, Nick. Just to be, not honest, but just, back in the days, knocking on the door, talking to people, and their commitment to you is nowhere near as when someone reaches out. We have people that reach out through email, text, phone calls. One, if I answer the phone and I'm the one to talk to them, they're ecstatic that they felt like they met a movie star. Even some said, I feel like, even ask for my autograph. That's how huge it is. But then they come through email. They'll tell you, hey, we're coming from California. We're selling our house. We're going to have $200,000. And I make, $225,000 a year. And this is the type of house we want. They give me everything. And then I hop on a Zoom call and I just build that relationship face to face with them again. And before we even meet in person, and taking our preferred lenders, everything. They're just great, great people that reach out.
What is some of so once it's on the SD, that's awesome because
the card. Yes, going back to the card.
You bring up a good point. They already know, like, and trust you, and they haven't even met you yet.
They know, like, and trust.
Because no buyer on the planet tells you about their financial information unless they trust you.
Correct.
Or the real truth about your financials.
Correct. And there's no resistance. I believe it's taught us in the team, not just me, but the team, to feel confident, even with any other type of lead. I just treat everybody as like they're the out-of-state people. It's like, oh yes, let's hop on a Zoom call. And there's times I've hopped on a Zoom call, I didn't realize it wasn't a YouTube lead, it was a local lead, but I treated it the same way and it didn't feel any different.
Didn't feel any different. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great experience too. And I would imagine that when people know, like, and trust you like that, because I've done radio for over a decade and I've done TV commercials and I've done videos, right? Is they actually ask you questions. Leads are different. They say things like, are you willing to work with me? Do you have enough time for me?
Do you have enough time for me? Yeah.
Yeah. So you get that.
It is.
So where are you at in terms of getting that? Who's delivering the content to YouTube? Who's uploading it? Who's writing the remarks? How do you write the remarks? Any tips on that?
So that's where it's great that, that me and Jackson work side by side on this. He takes care of all that side. So the way I would like to say it is, it's like the Indy car. I'm the race car driver. I'm the face of it, right? I know how to drive this massive engine. He runs the back end of it. He's the mechanic. He's the creator of that engine and the mechanic of it. He's the goat of that side of it. So when we finish, I drop Jackson up. Like I said, it takes us 2 hours to do content on average. That's not including drive time and all that. Obviously, it takes an hour here and there. But So I drop him off. He takes the camera card out of the camera. He has all the files uploaded, sends it off to the editor, gets all that stuff in order, does a little bit of the back end talk as far as sharing maps and the narration, and then gets all that sent off and we release on Saturday morning.
Shoot on Monday, and then it takes 6 days to get it on
Correct.
Saturday-ish.
So
Will
we're
give
about
you enough runway to do it, comfort
It
level.
does, it does, and then so he's measuring all the analytics at that point. He knows when there's upswings, when there's drop-offs, what the audience is looking like, the comments. We get people, we tell people, hey, smash them likes, just so many things at the algorithm. It's not just one, there's not one silver bullet for YouTube. It's a culmination of everything together that creates the success in it.
And you learn that as you iterate on the videos, I'm sure, right? Like as you go, you start learning and
It's
adjust.
insane. And the consistency is really the biggest thing, Nick, and really the content that we put out. Just people are like, man, we haven't seen anything else like this. It's the way you guys deliver, and you just feel so comfortable to call and then knowledgeable, and they just tell you all the things. But I mean, just for example, we had a video release 3 weeks ago. It's over 100 and something thousand views already. Jason was saying we have some videos that are getting, just older videos, they're getting 3,000 views a day. So it's such a giant now that it's just going out there like crazy.
And that's the power of evergreen. Evergreen is something that's going to be stand the test of time. And I think about evergreen in other areas of my business too. When I
Mhm.
build out a system, when I build out a training, when I write a new script, when I write a drip email campaign to my leads, when a lead registers, I want to think, how do I write this in a way that is going to work across time? Also you think differently, and then like, how do I write this so that I'm talking to, you know, an audience of people, but it feels like I'm talking to them. So these framing of the way you want to communicate is important in marketing, I think. So Joe, we've been working with each other through the
Yeah.
Reside platform the podcast, the Reside platform, right?
Platform,
Because
correct.
if
Yeah.
you're generating all these leads and it's grown tremendously. I think when we first started working together, you're probably getting 40, 50 calls a month. Now we're at 250, which is an all-time record. It's probably going to grow.
I would, yeah, I would go on to say that, yeah, this thing is a giant now as far as views. It's really just shot off like a rocket. I mean, I would go to say that, it's probably one of the most viewed and leads that reach out on the living and stuff. But we started out, Nick, in 2020 around, I believe it was around 75 to say 95 leads on average.
Okay.
And then last year it was, we were in that low 100s. Then summertime, it vamped up over 150 to 175. And now it seems like our trajectory now is going well over 200, which
So
is pretty insane.
it's insane because you got into the real estate team building aspect of real estate through kind of a different way where you had so many opportunities.
I had a demand. So doing this whole YouTube, my biggest mistake at the beginning was not knowing what I didn't know.
Mm.
I didn't know John Cheplack at the time. One of so someone recommended John to me. Ozzy Ramirez, said,
Oh
"Hey,
yeah, Aussie. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah." He was like, he's here in Houston. He was like, "Hey, you need to check out John." I'm like, "Cool." So I went and started coaching with Lori Reeder for a
Mhm.
season there, and then I got into you guys. You guys threw out the Reside platform. I'm like, this is exactly what I need because I didn't have a whole business and team growth aspect of it. And, with all these leads here, we have so much coming in that we're at 8 agents right now. And, obviously not all of them are productive. However, there's so many leads coming in that they can't even consume every one of them. So when the calls come in and I get a second call back, that means no one picked it up. So I can have 5 agents on the call and I'm still having to pick up that phone call and have a conversation. And it's not because they're not doing the activities that they're supposed to do. They're overwhelmed. Our suburbs can be an hour here, an hour there, taking a phone call, Zoom call, appointments, contracts. So they're overwhelmed. They can't take any more business. And I'm like, I can't hire fast enough.
You really can at this point. I mean, so you have, oftentimes it's I need leads, I'm marketing leads. But you can pay for traffic, pay-per-click traffic, Facebook traffic. It doesn't matter. I mean, Joe, you're just organically building it through YouTube. But it's the same concept. Now that you have leads, now you got a lead problem. You got a lead conversion
We
problem.
got a lead conversion, and I've seen the success even years ago, like in 2020. A lot of the guys that even came through with Jackson and their coaching, what they did at the time, there's people making millions in this YouTube space, and I'm like, okay, I know that I'm at a lot higher level now coming in with these leads, so I know the potential that's there. And I think it's the opportunity cost for potential versus saying this is how much I'm making at the moment. It's the opportunity that can be converted for growth.
And so now you're probably, you're working on building out your systems to capture the leads,
Yes.
take them from video viewer to calling, and probably that phone number is a trackable phone number that captures it.
Yeah, we use CallRail,
Yep.
and then that CallRail goes into our follow-up boss number that's tagged a specific YouTube. And then from there, that can be routed. I can pull agents on and off on it. We have a lead manager that goes through every call, tags everything, gets everything set up for us.
Beautiful. And that's so important on phone calls. It's like, okay, tracking that specific marketing source to a capture system. So you capture the number, you make
Right.
sure it's answered. If it is answered, then that agent needs to claim it and, in follow-up
We
boss.
even use Slack. So it goes through follow-up boss. The lead manager tags everything, YouTube lead, January 2024, all this stuff. And then as the call, she's live on the call, she'll answer the call too.
Mm.
And then we have a Slack message, a team Slack. And it's like, can anybody take a call right now? We have a buyer ready to go. And then she live transfers it to that person and then inputs the notes over, and then they take over from there.
So you essentially have an inside sales agent, but really just a receptionist, someone to answer that
Yes,
call.
just to answer the phone, not get into the real estate of it.
Yeah. I
And then
think for inbound phone calls, I think people should understand this about inside sales is you have to make this decision when you create an inside sales department. Are you going to give them inbound or are they going to be outbound? My philosophy is inside sales or sales agent, they need to move the needle. So they should be making outbound phone calls. Inbound, you could have anyone, you can train anyone to take the inbound call, right, Joe? So you're having someone you trust that's competent, that can get that person to get the ball in the right hand to score the basket.
and she knows our language. I mean, I've recorded all my calls and everything, and she sees my email. So she's basically been able to see exactly
Is
how
she
I
is she
operate.
wearing any other hats? Is she like a transaction coordinator, listing coordinator, doing it?
They say your first hire is your unicorn, right? I intentionally had her as a transaction coordinator, and then she came into a lead management position, just did, really well in
Lead
that.
management.
And the need was there. So right now we have an outside licensed TC that takes care of those transactions and can take care of all that nitty gritty stuff.
Yeah, you've scaled up to that point.
And
When
then you
now
guys have taught so much on the Reside platform as far as how to now operate and grow a business and recruit. And just as of recently, just implementing the agent day in the life is phenomenal. Just a one page, sheet that every agent can follow and allow our productivity to go up what's already in the database.
I love that day in the life. Like
I love it.
what's the daily activities that you need to do? Get those things done.
The minimum daily activities
Minimum daily
will
activities,
move the needle.
and they move the needle. It's the 20%. It's the Pareto principle. The 20% gives you 80% results.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm sure your videos are the 20% of your marketing that gives you 80% of results. But at this point, you're probably exploring other lead opportunities, other things like that, Joe. But I also was talking to a Reside client this week, and we were talking about lead managers,
Lead managers.
lead database managers. And that's what you were just hitting on. And I think it's a critical position. And they asked me, when is the right time to get that person? When is the right time to hire that person?
That's what I'm always wanting to know too on everything else. It's like, at what point do I feel like I'm doing more roles than I'm supposed to? And then at what point do I start off putting that? And then obviously you have to look at P&L to see where you're at to make the next move, right?
Yeah, if it costs money. Now it's also so this is the thing. People initially go, well, I got to go hire that person. Well, I can't afford them yet. And you got to think a
Can
little more
afford not
critically.
to.
Maybe it's not a full-time position yet. Who do I already have
That's good.
that has
Yeah.
capacity that can learn it, that I can train? Right. I think that's what you got to think about. And so, far as lead manager, when did you make that decision? At how many leads coming in, or how many
Well,
opportunities?
I don't look at everything that detailed, Nick. That's what I love about you and your systems. You just got everything dialed in. I think just every time that I feel like my head was being pushed like this, it just the need is
You
there,
had
and
to. It was
it's like
urgency.
it the urgency of it pushed me into these positions, and allow these
But
things.
was it because of the pain that you were missing out on opportunities, or was it the desire to go get more money?
Really, it's the desire on missed opportunities. I feel a responsibility and accountability to the consumer and to just the whole operation with that.
Mm.
I'm the one pushing this forward, and I know the money will follow. And it's like, no, I have a need to continue to make money, but really, at the end of the day, it's the accountability to not letting people down on
And
what we're doing.
oh man, you nailed it. It is that thought that the consumer is being let down, that they are literally trying to get a hold of you and can't. I mean, that keeps me up at night sometimes. Someone registers on my website and they don't even hear from a human being.
Yep. And we're refining that, and that's where really it's come in this year. I've really honed in on core values with the team, and I'm seeing a transition now, having the root of those core values, the foundation,
Mm.
and putting client first. And that's what I told everybody. I said, wait, not you guys have been really echoing that out there, and I'm like, we need to just be all about the consumer and their reach outs. I said, let's not worry about who's buying now, who's distant, who's what price, this, that. I said, let's just take care of the person that's in front of us. Because the consumer at the end of the day, they don't care how much money you make, how many transactions, and all this stuff. Really, at the end of the day, they want to know that they're the number one person that's being taken care of by a professional in the place that they're coming to move.
And it's true. They want to know that they're being taken care of and they're in the right hands with someone that cares about them.
Correct.
They don't ask about your level of experience.
They don't. And we
How
protect it.
does-
We grow. That the language that comes out shows our experience.
And I think the greatest way to show them that you care is to give them your undivided attention, because
Correct.
time is the most scarce resource we have. And once it goes by, it can never be taken back. So it's already built into us like, hey, Joe, thank you for your time. Or people are actually asking you, hey, do you have enough time for me?
Oh, people take me out to lunch.
I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to
They
waste your
don't.
time. Yeah. So the time is the resource that we're giving people to a certain extent. So like that, answering that phone call, calling them back. It's these little things. When you have a core value, client first, you got to think about that.
Yep.
And you, as a leader, how you got to probably remind people about that more than you got to tell them.
Yeah. It comes repetitive.
Yeah, it becomes repetitive. Reminds me of a story of the Nordstrom CEO, and Nordstrom's known for client first.
Oh, really? Okay.
Legendary. Nordstrom's is a Northwest brand, but it's
Yeah.
nationwide
Not the clothing store.
clothing store. Yeah, they have the legendary like return policies that they
Yeah.
return. There's a story that they accepted used tires. I don't know if it's true, but there's legendary stories. And the CEO gets up there and he's like, hey, what do you think, the beginning of the year, what do you think our plan, our vision, our strategy is going to be for this year? And they're like, give me some ideas. And they're like, oh, this, that, or the other, all these different ideas. And he's like, the same thing it was last year. Client, client experience, customer service. It was the exact same thing. What are we going to do this year? The customers first, right? And that's the only thing that matters. And so if you want a long lasting legendary company, how do you go wrong with client first? Well, Joe, it's been awesome. Thank you
Yes.
for it's awesome working with you at Reside, and it's great to see your YouTube channel grow and you share tips. If anyone wants to get some referrals your way in Houston, I don't know, but he was already getting a lot of buyers. But if if anyone wants to reach out to you or wants to see your YouTube channel or anything like that, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, Joe at livinginhoustonteen.com.
Living in Houston.
And so, yeah, that's what we do. You know, we help people from out of state. That's our wheelhouse. So that's our wheelhouse to take care of people moving from out of state.
I'm imagining you probably want to reach out to Joe because all these people moving into state have to sell their home in their state.
That is correct.
Even in my small market, Joe asked me if I could take a referral. So you're probably giving referrals out like crazy.
Yep.
Well, thanks for joining us on the.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Nick.
If you guys like this episode, share it with somebody you think that would like it. And there's tons of cool other episodes you can download at the Reside Platform Podcast. Stay tuned because a lot more great content's coming your way.